This is where we might bring in the doctrine of the signatures and think about how is this plant moving through the world, and what does that reflect about my own psyche? What do I have to learn from this plant, from its gesture, from its sound, from its taste, from its vibration? So this same idea of this energetic imprint that we use in flower essence therapy is the same sensibility and sensitivity that we use when we're getting to know each of the 5 elements. Because nature knows. So this is a phrase that I come back to over and over again. Again, if we look at that model where if we can respect that humans are not always the most intelligent game in town, that we have so much to learn from our nature allies and from nature when we get stuck, when we get lost, when we have these soul hiccups, that we can turn to the elements and that we can turn to the flower essences and we can turn to nature as a whole for guidance and for wisdom and for support through those soul hiccups. And this extends from an idea that is popularized in depth psychology around what's called the anima mundi, which is translated from Latin as the soul of the world. This idea of, again, indigenous concept of shared breath, right? Shared life force, that we are all interconnected and affected and imprinting upon one another. This clip from Moana that illustrated and brought to life this idea of the life force and the sentience of the natural world. So I'm going to quote David Abrams here. Intelligence is no longer ours alone, but a property of the earth. We are in it, we are of it, we are immersed in its depths, and every terrain ecology has its own intelligence, its own unique vernacular of soil and leaf and sky. And I think that's just beautiful, that as we look out at a river, as we look out at a forest, as we look at even in the environment of the buildings that surround us, that there's an intelligence there, that there's a sentience there. And this is very connected to indigenous understandings of the natural world, wherein everything is imbued with a spirit or an ori or a consciousness that represents its essence. Plants, forests, rocks, streams, and of course the flowers. So coming back to this idea that the human psyche is ensouled in nature, and this is a quote from my book, "Our veins map our body just as do the rivers streaming to the ocean. Our heart pulses with the sacred rhythm of the earth's heartbeat. The electromagnetic pulse that changes the seasons is the same electromagnetic pulse that changes our psyche. We are of shared pulse, shared blood, shared breath, and shared roots." And that is the anima mundi when we're thinking about elements, when we're thinking about flower essences, and also when we're thinking about our emotions,